Tonight's Xfinity TV High School Football Game of the Week post-game show is being presented by the Pittsburgh Sports Report, Pittsburgh's premier sports publication. Visit them online at pittsburghsportsreport.com. Well, it was all Upper St. Clair tonight until the closing moments of this ball game, and Moon finally did gather some pride up and score some points, and it was good to see for the home team to do so. This is a team that's on a rebound, a team that's trying to reclaim its former glory, going up against one of the storied programs in all the WPIL and PIAA, for that fact, Upper St. Clair. But the Panthers really forced their will on Moon here this evening.
Oh, they did in a big-time way. They took advantage of mistakes. We saw deflections. We saw really USC, I thought, have one of the best first quarters I've seen them have in a long time. We've been very fortunate to see them play many times. They played a very perfect, balanced game early on, and it just snowballed. But, yeah, give credit to Moon for coming back and showing their pride.
I'll tell you what, it was tough to pick a player of the game here tonight, but it was Colin McClendon of Upper St. Clair who had a stellar night here tonight. 15 carries on the ground, 60 yards, and a touchdown. He also had one reception for 12 yards. And on defense, he had 2 picks for 56 yards and 3 pass breakups. He scored a touchdown here on this pick, and wow, I'll tell you something. Colin McClendon had a night here tonight, and he is with Tim Benz on the field right now. Tim.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you tossing it down here with our player of the game, Colin McClendon, and Coach Jim Render. Let's start with the coach first and foremost. We were speaking before we came down here. Would you like to have called a few more plays in the second half, or the fact that you build up such a big lead, keep the clock running, and get back to Upper St. Clair as quickly as possible?
Our defensive coordinator likes to run that clock when things are going that way, but I had hoped, well, never mind. We intercepted that ball. He did it, and we got it in there to get that clock running, so everything was fine.
What did you think of the performance of Colin tonight?
Colin is one of the most unknown stars in the WPIL. I've known about him, but he's been starting for us since he was a freshman. He played outside linebacker as a second half of his freshman year. I know how good a football player he is. Now you know it.
All right, now ask Colin. Do you know how good of a football player you are now after tonight?
I do, but I have to give all my credit to my coaches. They put me in the right position. They teach me everything, and I just go out there and play my hardest.
And pretty nice balance for you tonight. A couple interceptions, a couple touchdowns, 60 yards on the ground. I think it was 56 total yards and interception returns. Talk to me about both sides of the ball for you tonight.
Well, our offensive line really picked it up. They blocked well for me. It was actually an all-around performance for everyone. I mean, Jesse Farrer had 2 interceptions, 2 pick sixes also. Just an all-around performance by everyone on my team. It wasn't just me.
All right, Colin McClendon, our player of the game. Jim Render, congratulations to you as well. Gentlemen, we'll send it back up to the booth to you guys.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. And to Coach Render, congratulations. He is now, as I did the math, 8 games away from 400 career victories, and that is something exciting.
Well, we're from Midland. We know how to add, one more win to the total. But I tell you one thing, it's interesting. We warned you early on that Clinton is the type of guy you're going to see a lot of on both sides. But I saw him on 3 units tonight. I was very impressed with him. I was impressed, frankly, with that core of linebackers and defensive backs that Upper St. Clair has. But that kid, he had nearly as many return yards on interceptions as he did running the ball, and he's the leading rusher. So that tells you all you need to know. But even more so, a couple of other things that jump out at us, and that would be the fact that Upper St. Clair only had 8 first downs. 15 for the losing team, Moon, and 27 points off of turnovers will do that every time.
That will indeed do it every time. And speaking of turnovers, let's look at our play of the game here on Xfinity TV tonight. And Colin McClendon gave some love to his teammate, Jesse Farrer, who had 2 pick sixes in this ballgame. The first one from 12 yards out, that one from 38 yards away off the tip, and he took it back to the house. Looked over both shoulders. Nope, nobody around you, young man. Jesse Farrer with our play of the game here tonight on Xfinity TV. And again, I said this to Tim earlier in the broadcast. I don't know if I've ever seen a game in which there were 3 pick sixes, 2 of those off deflections. And I don't know if I've ever seen the same kid, the same football player, return an interception for a touchdown on consecutive defensive stands.
Right, and on two separate sides of the field. and you're never going to be able to say that those won't be backbreakers, but they really did open this thing up. There was a point actually in the second quarter we were talking about, okay, it's 20-0. It's not gone the way Moon would like it, but they were deep into the territory of the Panthers, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, get the 20-7 in it. Just try to hold that till halftime and we'll go from there. But unfortunately, they didn't get it to 27. They missed a field goal to make it 20-3, and then the floodgates just opened up. And at that point, it was just too much. And it's just easier to defend. It's easier to run downhill, and that's what you saw with Upper St. Clair here this evening.
Yeah, it was what Moon did not want to see, and it started early, and it just kept pouring and pouring and pouring, and it was pouring points. And Upper St. Clair was pouring it on.
Yeah, they did, and they were, again, we've talked about this before. Folks around the state are familiar with them from a lot of the state rankings. And out here in WPIL at 5A, it's the North that really gets a lot of the attention, and understandably so, because it's loaded. But the South is going to have Upper St. Clair, I think, in the 1 or 2 spot when this thing is all said and done. And, you get a sense, it's been a while now. They've had a couple losses early on in the playoffs, Upper St. Clair. You get a feeling, and we've maybe known them for a long period of time, and it's just something you get a vibe on. But I have a feeling Jim Render's looking at this, despite the fact he has so many road games, only 4 home games. I think he may think he has something a little bit special here.
All right, I have a feeling we're going to have a nice ball game next week as well. You can tune in to Xfinity TV on demand to see the Cannon McMillan Big Macs take on the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. That'll be our game next week. We'll be in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. For our entire crew from Viewpoint Production Services and the Xfinity TV Game of the Week, for Tim Benz on the field, Ellis Cannon here in the booth, Ken Baker, our statistician, I'm Chris Shovlin. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. The final score here this evening, a lopsided 41-10 win for the Upper St. Clair Panthers.